Hello, good evening. It's News 360 coming to you live from the News Hub here at Adessa Wekanda. I am Portia Gabon.
Good evening to you. I'm Noble Crosby Annan, and these are the headlines of the bulletin tonight.
News 360 headlines is brought to you by
Flamingo Paint,
Pepsodent Charcoal and Pepsodent Herbal,
EcoBank.
In the bulletin tonight, New Patriotic Party begins grassroots reorganization after presidential primary as the party employs a bottom-up approach to restructuring.
And also coming up tonight, police intensify investigations to identify accomplices in Mfantsipim Polyclinic baby theft after arrest of the principal suspect identified as Latifa Salifu.
Plus, Communications Ministry compiling docket for Attorney General over Russian national accused of recording explicit videos of Ghanaian women without their consent.
Later in business news, staff return to produce buying company as recovery begins after payment of 4 months out of 24 in salary arrears.
Much later in some foreign news, Gabon's media regulator suspends social media platforms until further notice, saying online content has fueled conflict and deepened divisions in the country. Welcome to the program. We're live also on all our social media platforms at TV3 Ghana. Let's settle for the details.
We begin here in the Greater Accra region, where a family is seeking justice after reuniting with their newborn baby. The baby, only 2 days old at the time, was taken under the pretext of administering an injection. Father of the baby says he will sue Mfantsipim Polyclinic for the negligence and emotional trauma.
Reports indicate the baby was stolen from the mother, who had just undergone a cesarean operation on Tuesday. Viral CCTV footage of the suspect quickly spread, sparking outrage. By early Wednesday morning, residents thronged the Mfantsipim Polyclinic, demanding answers. Police swiftly moved in to restore calm. Investigations revealed the suspect disguised herself as a nurse, stole the baby, and exited the hospital. She later boarded a taxi to Kolebu. When the footage was released, sources say the taxi driver identified her, leading police to her location. A swift operation led to the arrest of the suspect, who is currently in police custody. The child's mother, Precious Abna Ankuma, still recovering from surgery, arrived at the station to receive her baby from the gender minister, Dr. Agnes Namomolati, before returning to the polyclinic for medical care. The father, Mohammed Isa Ajaman, vowed to seek justice, calling the experience unbearable and traumatizing.
We are taking a legal action because, the mom is being traumatized. Yes, so, we have already spoken to our lawyer and we are taking it on. God being so good, he was having some birthmark, so I've identified that, and that's.
The regional police commander, DCOP Duty Tuaruka, assured residents that security will be intensified in and around the community to prevent future incidents.
A lot of the patients who always come here, either to come and deliver, you create more awareness, especially if they don't know anybody. They should not allow the person to take the baby out of the facility to prevent any future occurrence at this hospital. On the police side, the security minister has said we want to maintain 24/7 security presence here. They will be at the junctions and then others will also mix up, especially at the entrance.
On her visits to the Mfantsipim Polyclinic, Dr. Lati met with staff and management, urging vigilance and stressing that the incident must serve as a lesson for all health facilities.
In your own way, you've identified some loopholes that need to be worked on. You've seen some weaknesses that can strengthen our security. And I tell people that when we talk about security, it's not only the physical presence of the police or our security officers at the gate, but also our system. The systems that we are running, we make sure that right from when somebody enters through our gate to when they exit, we have those documentation and trails that can easily, pick up signals for us to attend to. This has happened in Mfantsipim, but it should be a lesson to all other health facilities.
She further revealed that her ministry is working closely with the Ministry of Health and security agencies to strengthen safety measures.
So we'll also liaise with the Ministry of Health, and then they will sit down. The health workers themselves are also putting up their own reports, and the police are also doing the same. We'll coordinate all and let it be a proper documentation to improve the security situation in all the health facilities across the country, at least for the sake of mothers and children, and also the general public.
Well, at the Dansiman Police Station, Director of Public Affairs, Accra Police Region Superintendent Julian Obeng detailed how officers carried out a swift and coordinated operation that led to the safe recovery of the stolen baby.
Ankoma informed the police that she delivered the baby boy on the 14th of February 2026. She stated that a woman dressed in a nurse's peach-colored uniform took the baby under the pretext of administering medication and disappeared thereafter. Police immediately visited the facility, obtained statements, and immediately launched a manhunt for the suspect. This afternoon, it is refreshing to know that today, at about 3:40 this morning, the police arrested a suspect, Latifa Salifu, who is 33 years of age and is a cloth seller here in Accra, at the premises of Kolebu Teaching Hospital, where she was found with a baby suspected to have been the missing child. Suspect claimed that she had delivered at the hospital and was discharged due to lack of beds. However, police investigations at the hospital revealed there was no records to support her claim.
Let's speak to Dr. Winfred Ba. He is the Acting Registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency. Doc, thank you so much for your time. First of all, your immediate reaction to this incident, and if the Mfantsipim Polyclinic really did comply with your security protocols.
All right, thank you very much, and my regards to our cherished listeners. I must say, in the first place, I'm happy that everybody came on board, the security agencies, the gender ministry, the health ministry, and at least the baby has been found. So I want to talk all partners. I want to say that there may be some security lapses, but at least look at the Mfantsipim Hospital. So let me just give the previously they were Mfantsipim Polyclinic, now they are Mfantsipim Hospital. So the Mfantsipim Hospital at least had the CCTV, and I think that is what led to or helped in identifying the victim, which is a good thing. As part of our regulations, and our sector minister has actually directed long ago that all the hospitals should have CCTV cameras. We, as part of our monitoring rounds that we do, we always check for that. And for the facilities that do not have that, we always encourage them to do that. And for those who did it, like the Mfantsipim Hospital, at least it helped us to monitor. We only had a few cases of some CCTVs that were mounted in very sensitive areas. And those ones were the exceptions. For example, where patient privacy will be compromised, then they do have to be there, but they have to be mounted at places for security. And so I think that they've complied. The only thing is that we were not sure if they had good in terms of security personnel at post, and we are yet to ascertain that.
Right. Now, Doc, we understand that the suspect allegedly disguised herself as a nurse. Going forward, would you push for stricter identification protocols?
Yes, thank you very much. So it's our policy that anybody who works in the hospital, who is on duty in the hospital, wears the appropriate uniform and then the appropriate name tag. So even if you are staff of the hospital and you enter and you are not in the appropriate apparel, the security can actually prevent you from entering. And I think these things must be enforced because definitely if they really check, I'm sure they would have seen the name tag. If they were enforcing the name tag, I don't think this woman will have a name tag with Mfantsipim Hospital on it. So that could have been a good alert, a signal, an early signal.
All right. Doc, thank you so much for your time. We will continue this discussion later on. Dr. Winfred Ba is Acting Registrar of the Health Facilities Regulatory Agency.
Well, let's explore some more experts on the back of the story. Richard Kumado is a fraud prevention expert and a security consultant. Richard, thank you for joining us. Good evening to you. A lot of the conversation is coming on the back of CCTV cameras, but alone, do they offer sufficient protection in a facility, or there are other critical systems that should be mandatory or recommended in such facilities?
I think that security awareness and safety awareness at our hospitals across Ghana is not encouraging, and safety breaches have come to the fore several times. Let this one become the last one, and let awareness start from today. And all we need to do to improve the security infrastructure of our hospitals is mandatory, and we need to take it seriously. Somewhere last year, March and May, we did a survey at some of the hospitals at about 4 regions, and the things we saw in terms of security and safety awareness is not encouraging. In some of the hospitals, the security decks are either weak or they are non-functional. Awareness creation, hospital administration, coordination, and identification purposes is something they need to catch up a little bit. I believe if they had all those things in place as part of the comprehensive security management and administrative efficiency in our hospitals, it would have helped to prevent some of the security breaches we've witnessed so far.
And Doc, for patients and patient relatives, if you like, what responsibilities also rest on their shoulders in instances like this?
Both private hospitals and government hospitals must have a standard procedure for admitting patients. What patients can do, what they cannot do, what their families can do, what they cannot do. If you remember the incident we have at Reach last year, it was as a result of safety breaches, which was undertold as a admission procedure failure. And once those things are made clear, it makes life easier for patients and their visitors and their relatives who associate or follow them to the hospital. Some of the situations we've seen in some of the hospitals is that patients could go out and come in anytime they want, and the hospital administrators are not aware. Nurses and doctors on duty might also not be aware. If some of these patients get locked or they get knocked down by a vehicle, families may be agitated and it may create trouble for the hospitals. And I think that a combined, some level of arrangement in terms of procedure, admission of patients, what your rights are, what you are supposed to do, is something they can easily get it done. When Portia asked Dr. who just spoke, he was using the verse, they have to enforce it, they have to enforce it. It means that it has not been enforced for some time now. I think they will need to have an overview across the hospitals across this country, and where the vulnerabilities are high, they will need to catch up because there's a lot of catch up they have to do.
Mr. Kumado, thank you. Thank you so much. We'll talk more on the back of this. Richard Kumado is a fraud and a security consultant exploring the security angles of the stolen baby saga.
Now to some political news, and the new Patriotic Party is setting the stage for a full-scale grassroots reorganization after its presidential primary. The party's National Executive Committee, the party's third highest decision-making body, adopted key recommendations from the steering committee and referred them to the National Council for final approval. Noble Crosby Annan reports that the move clears the path for internal elections to begin from polling station level upward.
The New Patriotic Party has signaled a return to its traditional internal electoral architecture, announcing that following the presidential primaries, the party will proceed with grassroots elections beginning at the polling station level and moving upward through constituency and regional contests to the national executive level. Well, this effectively is blending two strategies, an early flag-bearer first approach followed by a restoration of the bottom-up reorganization model. General Secretary of the party, Justin Mfantsipim, speaking to the press, he announced the timelines for the elections at the various levels.
The objective being to secure victory in the 2028 general elections. The elections of our polling station executives will be from 10th to 16th May 2026. Elections of our electoral area executives will be from 10th to 15th June 2026. Elections of constituency officers shall be from 11th to 12th July 2026. The elections of regional executive officers shall be from 8th to 9th August 2026. National executive elections shall be held between 18th to 20th of September 2026.
He noted the party has taken the decision to extend the tenures of officers at various levels since some are bound to expire before the elections.
Because of these timelines, National Council took notice of the fact that the tenure of office of some officers would expire in the course of these elections or before these elections. And therefore, by the power vested in National Council, it is established as follows. The polling station executive tenure has been extended. Electoral area coordinators has been extended from 20th March to 15th June 2026. Constituency executive tenure has also been extended. Regional executives from 22nd May to 9th August 2026. The national executives from 16th July to 20th September.
Well, Justin Mfantsipim added the elections will rely heavily on the party's constitution while being guided by the Professor Michael Quay Committee report.
These rules and regulations governing the conduct of the party's internal elections are made pursuant to Article 18 and other relevant provisions of the Constitution of the New Patriotic Party, guided by the findings and recommendations of Okwe Elections Review Committee on the party's 2024 electoral performance. The party recognizes the necessity to rebuild. All aspirants shall campaign on issues and refrain from leveling unsubstantiated allegations, personal attacks, and vilifications against their opponents. No aspirants shall undertake any activity that will polarize the party along tribal, religious, and other factional lines. Aspirants are also required their supporters not to engage in any of the activities stated above.
And now, the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Gbagbin, has expressed disappointment in the leading political parties for failing to field a female candidate in the upcoming Ayawaso East by-election. At an event by the Africa Center for Parliamentary Affairs on Political Inclusion and Consensus Building, Gbagbin indicated that he would have supported a female candidate for potential victory because the country needs increased gender balance in Parliament to deepen democracy.
Political parties are the gateways to representation. Parliament is the arena where representation becomes decision-making. Therefore, inclusion must begin in parties and mature in Parliament. I was waiting for any party to have fielded a female in the Ayawaso East by-election. And I've personally gone to support the candidates because we need more of our women in Parliament. Unfortunately, the parties have disappointed me.
The Minister of Roads and Highways says the 23 billion cedi cocoa road contract awarded between 2023 and 2024 is one of the key factors contributing to the current crisis in the cocoa sector. Kwame Abuja stated that Cocoa Board lost focus on cocoa production during the period and mishandled the Cocoa Road Improvement Program.
I don't know how much it costs to do the audit, but all I know is that the entire Cocoa Road program has been so badly handled that I consider that as one of the bases of the problems Cocoa Board is having right now. From 2017, if you award in 2023 alone, 2023-24, 23 billion cedis worth of cocoa project, that is more than all the syndication you can ever get in a year. It means Cocoa Board lost focus. They were not concentrating on cocoa production. They were focused on procurement, and that is why President Mahama directed that no more Cocoa Board indulging in Cocoa Road, rather focus on cocoa production and marketing so that our farmers will get the best value for their labor. Funding shortfalls at Cocoa Board resulted in delayed payment, leading to mounting arrears. The government requested an audit, review, and restructuring of the Cocoa Road project. An interim report was subsequently issued. Amongst the negative effects of the suspension of the program include severe disruption to construction activities, deterioration of road infrastructure, disruption of cocoa value chain, and farmer livelihood.
Well, away from the roads to something that has generated lots of reaction, the Chief Justice, Justice Paul Bafaboni, has determined that petitions seeking the removal of the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Madame Jean Mensah, her two deputies and the Special Prosecutor, Kissia Jabeng, do not establish a prima facie case to warrant further action. The presidency disclosed the decision in a statement issued on Wednesday, February 18.
President Mahama received 7 petitions from individuals and groups targeting Electoral Commission Chairperson Jean Mensah and her deputies, Dr. Bosman Eric Asari, Deputy Chairperson in charge of Corp Services, and Samuel Tete, Deputy Chairperson in charge of Operations. 3 separate petitions seeking the removal of Special Prosecutor Kissia Jabeng were also received by the President. President Mahama referred the 10 petitions to the Chief Justice on November 25, 2025 for a preliminary determination of whether they disclose the prima facie case for further proceedings. Under the 1992 Constitution, such a finding is required before a committee can be set up to examine allegations of misconduct or incompetence. In a letter dated January 26, 2026, the Chief Justice concluded that the petitions did not establish a prima facie case to warrant further investigations or the setting up for a committee of inquiry under Article 146 of the 1992 Constitution and Section 15 of the Office of the Special Prosecutor Act 2017, Act 959. With that threshold not met, the removal process ends at this stage. The ruling means the Electoral Commission leadership and the Special Prosecutor remain in office.
In more news tonight, the Communications Ministry says it is compiling a docket for the Attorney General's office leading to the prosecution of the Russian national accused of recording explicit videos of Ghanaian women without their consent. Sector Minister Sam George addressed a news conference in Accra.
According to the Minister for Communications, Digital Technology and Innovations, Samuel Nate George, some of the women captured in a widely circulated explicit video involving the alleged Russian national have formally petitioned the Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service. He says the CID has since commenced investigations into the matter. Preliminary findings, according to the minister, suggest that not all women in the video engaged in intimate relations with the Russian national.
His first name is Vladislav, and his last name is Lyulkov. His passport with which he entered the country will be shared with the media so that his identity is also made known. And let us be clear, not all the women he has publicized were engaged in an intimate encounter with him. some of the cases that have come to us, he barely met the women at the malls, said hi to them, engaged them, and there is actually no video, per the work the cybersecurity has done in some of those instances, of him and those ladies beyond the mall encounters. However, he splashed their images as though he had intimate encounters with all of these ladies. That is evil.
The minister further disclosed that the ministry has initiated processes to compile and submit a docket to the Attorney General's Department for prompt prosecution. He also revealed that the government has engaged the Embassy of Russia in Ghana on the issue. Samuel Nate George stressed that the government will explore legal avenues, including collaboration with Interpol, to pursue the arrest of the Russian national despite the absence of an extradition treaty.
The gentleman is not extradited because of the provisions of the Russian constitution. What we have done and what we will conclusively do by working through Interpol to get the international arrest warrant is that we will confine him to the precincts of Russia. Because as soon as he steps outside of Russia into any other country, he'll be picked up to serve the sentence. And so what you've done is you've saved potential future victims by their proactiveness. So for those who say, oh, because there is no MLAT and there's no extradition, leave it and don't act. No. You empower individuals who are like-minded to come after potential victims. As a state, as a government, we have a responsibility to protect our own.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection has also taken a keen interest in the matter.
We are also assuring those who are yet to reach out to us that they can come out. The nation is with them. Don't worry too much about those who initially threw you under the tracks. We are here to support you as a ministry, as a government.
The ministry has opened channels to provide psychosocial support and counseling services to the women captured in the video.
Away from that, Mfantsipim School has officially commenced activities marking its 150th anniversary with a pre-launch press briefing outlining plans for a year-long celebration. Founded in 1876 by the Wesleyan Mission of the Methodist Church Ghana, Mfantsipim School is widely recognized as the cradle of secondary education in Ghana.
Headmaster of Mfantsipim School, Reverend Ebenezer Kobina Ayew, emphasized the school's role in shaping generations of leaders across governance, academia, clergy, sports and industry. The Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Professor Ernest Kofi Davies, commended the institution for its contribution to national development and described the anniversary as a celebration of Ghana's broader educational journey.
For 150 years, Mfantsipim has nurtured a generation of Ghanaians who have gone on to serve the nation and the world with distinction. As we look ahead, the sesquicentennial will highlight initiatives in STEM, digital learning, teacher education, scholarships, and heritage preservation.
Chairman of the 150th Anniversary Planning Committee, Captain John Yamwa, outlined activities scheduled to run until December 26.
We have constituted dedicated subcommittees to drive the work, developed, unveiled, and trademarked the anniversary logo. We have also developed, produced the anniversary cloths and songs, and this will be outdoored in a ceremony to take place next month.
The official launch is expected to take place on April 11 in Accra, followed by the Founders' Day activities in Cape Coast. The anniversary is being held under the theme, A Legacy of Excellence, Leadership and Service to Inspire the Future.
And stay with us here on News 360 for the next 30 minutes because we have business, sport, entertainment and more for you. Nearly 2 years of financial hardship.
Even before the announcement of the finance minister, a lot of work had been done through myself and my team and with our board to restore some level of confidence in the staff, having stayed without payment for close to 24 months. We were able to do some transactions in the early days of the season, and the returns that we had on it, we used it to cushion them financially a bit, injecting that hope in them that, yes, the president would duly take care of PBC and will stand strong again. So we have been able to give them 4 months' salary. And to be very frank with you, as the president, through the honorable minister, mentioned that PBC was going to be strengthened, every worker around had gained some level of confidence just through what we did and what the message they heard from His Excellency through the minister. And they are all back at post, and we are ready to at least deliver.
And our finance and tax analyst Nelson Kujo Kwagbaji has urged government to strictly prioritize self-financing projects for all future borrowing to prevent the country from slipping back into a debt crisis. The analyst has projected a positive shift in Ghana's international credit standing following government's successful 10 billion cedis interest payment under the domestic debt exchange program.
The analyst noted that the ability to make such a substantial payment entirely in cash rather than through further debt issuance or payment in kind is a key indicator of liquidity availability. Kwagbeji noted the 10 billion cedis interest payment of the domestic debt exchange program serves as a powerful signal to global rating agencies like S&P, Moody's and Fitch that Ghana has moved beyond selective default into a phase of reliable debt servicing.
I think this is a clear demonstration and commitment from the government that future obligations will be met. It will go a long way to reinforce the credit worthiness of government. It will also help enhance Ghana's credit rating outlook, and so we expect the next credit rating by the various rating agencies to be enhanced. It will also bring back some level of confidence and also help deepen the liquidity in the Ghanaian market. I mean, the market is currently illiquid, and so once people are having confidence that their investment will be paid back, we expect a lot more activity within the market.
Kwagbeji has consistently advocated for fiscal discipline following Ghana's recent debt restructuring, emphasized that new loans must be channeled into sectors with a direct capacity to generate revenue for repayment. The analyst argues that the era of borrowing for general budgetary support or consumption must end.
I think that we should be prudent with our borrowing. We should borrow for projects that can generate positive NPVs. We shouldn't borrow for consumption as we have witnessed in the past. We should also continue with the fiscal discipline and also try as much as possible to raise enough domestic tax revenue to support the annual budget.
Let's now visit the commodities and the currency markets. Well, that's your business served. More news is up next.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. We begin with our first story where, in an exclusive interview with the Ghana Football Association, President Keto Kreku has described football as the heartbeat of the nation. He is hoping for more investment in the coming months in order to ensure that the sport is elevated to the next level.
I wish that 2025 will repeat itself. But here we are in 2026, and I'm looking forward to more positivity, more positive energy, more positive good news for the Ghanaian game, and more investment to the sport or into the sport. I think that football in this country needs more attention. It carries the nation, and therefore it's very, very important for us to find the right partners, investors, putting more resources into our game. That's the only way the sport can grow. I've always said that it is not for want of ideas. It's not for want of energy. It is for want of resources. And once the resources are available, this game will thrive.
Let's move on to other stories where, despite being 36-year-old, Ayew has confirmed that he's not retiring from football anytime soon in an exclusive interview with his club, NAC Breda. Now, he says that his body still feels young and he will be the first person to admit when he can no longer continue playing football. Ayew joined the Dutch side in the winter transfer window and has already made 6 appearances in the league.
No, I never thought about it because my body is good. I feel good. Played a lot of years, and touch wood, I've been fit for several years and been able to play games upon games upon games. I live my life day to day, so I prepare myself every time to have a better tomorrow on the field, off the field. I don't think about that. I think when the moment comes, your body will tell you. That's how I see it, and for now my body is not responding negatively at all, so I need to continue working. The matches will get me fitter, will make me feel better, and that's all I'm thinking about. But no, I never thought about stopping because the 6 months I didn't play was not football reasons. It was personal reasons that I had to deal with and sort and before, so I could clear my mind and come back and be on top of my game mentally, physically, but I was working, so I'm quite happy, and this is the start of something new, and I hope we end it well.
To Europe now, where FIFA President Gianni Infantino says that he is shocked and saddened by the alleged racism towards Vinicius Jr. in Real Madrid's 1-0 win over Benfica in the Champions League playoffs. In a statement released earlier on Wednesday, the FIFA president stated, "I was shocked and saddened to see the incident of alleged racism towards Vinicius Jr. in the UEFA Champions League match between SL Benfica and Real Madrid CF. There's absolutely no room for racism in our sport and in society. We need all the relevant stakeholders to take action and hold those responsible to account. FIFA and football shows full solidarity with victims of racism and any form of discrimination. I will always continue to reiterate no to racism, no to any form of discrimination." Before we go, there will be more UEFA Champions League action. That's the playoff stage, and we would see Bodo Glimt facing Inter Milan. Other games also include Club Brugge versus Atletico Madrid and Olympiacos hosting Leverkusen. Remember that you can get updates of these games and more on our social media platforms at 3sports.gh. My name is Oreku Ampofo, and entertainment news is up next after this break.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we
Good evening to you. I'm Esiedwa Afeni, and it's time for some entertainment. Let's look at what's trending in the world of showbiz. Ghanaian gospel duo Alabaster Box has provided fresh details about its ongoing legal dispute with rapper Medical, insisting that efforts to resolve the matter privately were unsuccessful. The group originally filed a lawsuit in April 2025 accusing Medical of using a portion of their song Akwaba without permission in his track Welcome to Africa. According to Alabaster Box, they made deliberate attempts to settle the issue amicably before turning to the court. They described the approach as a show of maturity, explaining that they reached out to Medical's camp in a bid to find common ground and avoid litigation. However, they say the response they received was frustrating and failed to yield meaningful progress. The group further revealed that a lawyer was brought in to help facilitate and structure discussions. Despite this intervention, negotiations reportedly collapsed. In more stories, a one-week observance ceremony in honor of the late Ghanaian gospel icon, Ayew Sarpong, has been scheduled for Thursday, February 19, 2026 at the Suafo Park in Kumasi. The solemn gathering will mark the beginning of the funeral rites following his passing on January 20, 2026 at the age of 66. Ayew Sarpong's demise has left his beloved Asmafo Band and the wider gospel fraternity in deep mourning. The February 19 observance is expected to draw family members, fellow musicians, industry stakeholders, and admirers from across Ghana to celebrate the remarkable ministry and musical journey that spanned more than 4 decades. Widely regarded as a pillar of Akan gospel music, Sarpong's contribution helped shape the contemporary gospel landscape in Ghana. That's it for entertainment. I'm Esiedwa Afeni.
On the international front, Gabon's media regulator has announced the suspension of social media platforms until further notice, saying online content has fueled conflicts and deepened divisions in the country. In a televised statement on Tuesday evening, the High Authority for Communication cited the spread of false information, cyberbullying, and unauthorized disclosure of personal data as reasons for the decision. Internet monitoring group NetBlocks reported that by Wednesday afternoon, multiple online platforms had been restricted, including Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and WhatsApp. Four South African men lured into fighting for Russian forces in Ukraine returned home on Wednesday. Their arrival comes days after South African president held talks with his Russian counterparts on the return of South Africans caught up in the war in Ukraine. It was not immediately clear if the four were part of a group of 17 men the presidency previously said it was trying to bring home. In November, Pretoria said it had received distress calls from 17 men who were trapped in the epicenter of the fighting in Ukraine's Donbas region after being tricked into joining mercenary forces.
And that's our package for you tonight on News360. But there's always more news on our website, 3news.com. I am Noble Crosby-Annan.
And I am Portia Gabon. Do join Alfredo Kanse at 10 p.m. for Ghana tonight. Good evening.